Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Kelly Wells Show, presented by Appalachian Wireless, coming to you live from Jerry's Restaurant, South Mayo Trail. And tonight, we talk all things U-Pike basketball. The University of Pikeville Bears back in the national rankings, number 23 in the country. We'll talk to the coach of the Bears in just a little while, Coach Kelly Wells. But the face you see in front of you is not Kelly Wells.
Definitely not Kelly Wells.
But we've got a new starter on tonight's edition of the Kelly Wells Show. It's Coach Bill Watson of the U-Pike women's team. And Coach, welcome to the Kelly Wells Show, where we talk U-Pike basketball.
Happy to be here, Andrew.
We've got a special guest in the Bear Spotlight tonight, one of your players as well, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. But it's been a tough season for the women. Injuries. You're faced with a young team playing against more experienced teams in the Mid-South Conference. Those things combined make for a tough year, but your team has been competitive against some very good teams as of late.
It's sort of been a non-perfect storm, I guess, so to speak, with the youth. And like I said, just about every team we had played upperclassmen, juniors, and seniors with experience against us. And we've given 3 or 4 away because of our youth early in the year. We are much improved. Unfortunately, we don't have the record to show that.
Sure.
I wish all of our people, all of our listeners and viewers could come watch us practice. We get after each other and we compete like heck in practice. And we'll have a stretch in a game where we might go 4 or 5 minutes and we score 2 or 4 points. And young teams have a tendency to get down.
Sure.
You throw in a losing streak on top of that, and their expectations are like our expectations. We want to win. So we're sort of hitting a little bit of a bump in the road, so to speak, from a not necessarily an attitude standpoint, but we're frustrated and flustered, and hopefully we can get over that and continue to mature and grow as a basketball team and as individuals.
A lot of folks that follow sports, basketball, regardless of the sport, whether it's a winning streak or a losing streak, a lot of times that can snowball because it gets into the mindset. And I don't know, Yogi Berra had a famous quote that it's 90% mental and whatever. Yeah. But the game it's a lot mental. And when you're dealing with college kids, and in particular young college kids, freshmen and sophomore, underclassmen, that mindset can get disrupted very quickly. And when you get on a string to where you've lost several games, it gets in the minds. And then when you're in a close game, those games tend to fall apart because they're thinking, how are we going to lose this one?
Right. And like I said, from my standpoint and Coach Duncan's standpoint, our record is not what our record needs to be.
Sure.
I understand that, and it's not what we envisioned coming in, even with the young group that we're going to play a lot of minutes. But we're not going to be outworked in practice. We're going to keep our nose to the grindstone. We're going to keep getting better, and down the road, whether Thursday, Saturday, next week, whenever, we're going to get us another win, and that's going to break that losing streak, and then we're going to feel good about ourselves again. That what we have been doing is fundamentally sound, fundamentally right, and then maybe we can put a winning streak together.
That's all it takes. Sometimes is that one win to get the mind clear. Okay, let's get back to what we do best.
Exactly.
And that's what the U-Pike women are looking to do. A young team, they fight through some adversity. This week, it's a great situation at U-Pike. Appalachian Wireless Night coming up Thursday night, giving away an F-150 truck. Look for a record crowd there. A lot of excitement around the game coming up Thursday, and then followed by another home game on Saturday. It's an opportunity for your U-Pike team to ride the wave.
It is, and from our situation, it's a perfect scenario from us because of the big crowd that we're anticipating on Thursday. But then on Saturday, we have our Hall of Fame ceremonies.
Sure.
Our first national tournament team is going to be honored on those Hall of Fame ceremonies and be introduced at halftime of the men's game or between games, I think, on Saturday. So it gives our young kids an opportunity to see maybe the fruits of their labor, maybe the rest of this year or down the road in their career here at the University of Pikeville, as well as to meet some of the people that are actually in the Hall of Fame as individuals.
Sure.
So I stay in close contact with 5 or 6 of them. We're anticipating maybe 8 or 9 of them showing up A couple of them I haven't seen in probably 10 years, to be honest with you. So from a personal standpoint, I'm really excited about seeing those kids, because that's my first team as a women's head coach here at Pikeville College at the time, and obviously to finish your first year in the national tournament is a dream come true. And some of those kids, some of those women, young women now, are lawyers or teachers and coaches themselves, right. And I can't wait till Saturday to get to see some of them.
I know it's a special group, and let me ask a question about national tournament teams. Mm-hmm. You've had teams that have gone on to the national tournament. Mm-hmm. When you're in the midst of that, do you tend to take that for granted and say, well, we'll be back there next year, we'll be back there in a couple and you don't realize how tough it is to get there, and a lot of things have to come together. Yeah, you have to be talented, mm-hmm. you have to stay healthy, you have to have some experience, some leadership on the floor. Is it easy to take that for granted when it's happening?
I think it is very easily. That national tournament team, we went 21-14 in 97, 98. Well, the next year we started off at 11-1,
yeah.
And we were in the top 25, and we're getting votes and getting some national recognition. And then all of a sudden, I'll never forget, it's a 22, 23-point game with about 12 minutes to go, and we have Charity Burke was a freshman starter actually for the second team I had. She goes up against pressure and makes a little jump pass up the floor and comes down on her ankle, and we never recovered from that.
Right.
You do take it for granted. I think now you could ask the players that they're going to come back on Saturday, and they think, man, that it's going to happen all the time. The young ones, the freshmen and sophomores on that team.
Yeah, we're going to roll on national tournament next 4 years.
Every year, exactly. Yeah. And that's what made the second one. The second one, we were in the top 25 the majority of the year. We had a pretty good idea we were going to make it, right. Whether we won the conference or not. Excuse me. So we were sort of able to plan and enjoy the ride a little bit more. But the thrill, the first year we were in a must-win game in the semis, obviously, and then we beat Lindsey Wilson on the road, and we were in a must-win game against Brescia to qualify to get to the national tournament. And the exhilaration and just the joy and seeing those kids, the smiles on those kids' faces was worthwhile. It's amazing.
That's what it's all about. Small college basketball. We talk about University of Pikeville basketball. Women's coach Bill Watson with us this evening. And Coach, little scouting report, Cumberland's Thursday night, 6 p.m. tip-off against the Lady Patriots. The Expo Center looking for a huge crowd. What do you know about them? I know we've seen them once, and how do you like the matchup?
Well, they come in number 6 in the country. They're only 18-1.
Wrongly.
Only 18-1. The only team that's beat them is the number 2 team in the country on a shot at the buzzer. Actually, it was a foul at the buzzer, and the girl hit 2 free throws from Union, Tennessee, right. to beat them. They're very, very good defensively. They don't mind hitting you, we'll say. But they shoot it well from the perimeter. They have a very, very good player, probably the leading candidate for Player of the Year in Lauren Wombles. Haley Ratliff from Pike Central, sure. is there. She's
another local girl from Magoffin County.
Ashley Jade Howard. They're both seniors.
Right.
Haley actually is, knock on wood, has made it through this year unscathed from the injury bug.
Right.
She always has injuries, has had injuries while she's been there, and hopefully she can make it through the rest of the season as well. But they're very, very solid. We played them extremely well for a half, led it to half, and then, like we alluded to earlier, our youth crept in, and at halftime we came back out and we looked at the scoreboard and said, we're ahead. At the time they were like 12th or 13th in the country.
Sure.
We're ahead at number 12. I mean, it's going to be easy the second half.
Yeah.
Well, they had a stern talking to, I guess, in their locker room. They came out, and we had one of the stretches where we had trouble putting the ball in the basket, and it just snowballed from there. And they beat us pretty good. But I think we'll compete. We'll battle, and we'll see what happens.
Let's take these young Bears and get a win Thursday night.
Let's do that.
One of your players in the Bears spotlight tonight. It is the Kelly Wells Show, where we talk U-Pike basketball. Talking to University of Pikeville women's coach Bill Watson. Coach Kelly Wells will join us a little later. And coming up in just a few moments in the Bears spotlight, one of your guards. Let's talk about her.
Jaleesa Jones from Memphis, Tennessee. She's one of our 2 seniors that we have on our squad right now. Very, very good shooter. Very solid defender. Knows the game. Very, very, very good basketball IQ. Works hard every day in practice, works hard in the minutes that she gets. Right now she's back in the starting lineup because we're trying to shift some people around. But she gives you everything she has whenever she plays, and we're looking for the next 10 games, 10-plus games counting postseason for big things out of Jaleesa.
Big win Thursday. Let's get on a little win streak with the U-Pike women.
By all means.
Coach Bill Watson, you can see the U-Pike women Thursday evening at 6 at the Expo Center hosting the University of Cumberland. Coach, best of luck. We'll talk with your player, and we'll see you Thursday.
Thank you, Andrew.
It's the Kelly Wells Show, presented by Appalachian Wireless, live from Jerry's Restaurant, South Mayo Trail. When we return, Jaleesa Jones in the Bears Spotlight. We're talking U-Pike women's basketball when we come back. Back in the Kelly Wells Show, coming to you live from Jerry's Restaurant, South Mayo Trail. We're talking University of Pikeville basketball, and we'll talk with the boss of the Bears, Kelly Wells, in just a little bit. He's not in too bad of a mood, I hear. Back in the top 25 rankings at number 23 this week, coming off a win in the Mid-South Conference at UVA Wise. But right now we step back into the Bears Spotlight, the hot seat. With one of the University of Pikeville women. It's one of the seniors, Jaleesa Jones. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. So glad to be here.
Great to have you. And, of course, the U-Pike women, we'll talk about in just a little bit. Okay? Right now we want to talk about you. And when we talk in the Bear Spotlight, we talk about academics, because when you talk about a college athlete, student always comes first.
Yes, sir.
What's your major? What do you plan to do when you finish up?
My major is biology. I'm a biology major. Once I finish up here, I plan on going to physical therapy school.
Yeah.
I'm not for sure exactly where, but I know that I do want to do physical therapy for sure.
And that's a tough curriculum,
yes.
biology.
Yes, it is.
And I know Coach Watson, we've talked before about his GPA, and I may be putting you on the spot here, but he's proud of his team's GPA. You one of those players that helps keep that GPA up?
Of course. Of course, yes.
I know he looks at you as one of the leaders on the floor, and also a lot of times those seniors, they're leaders in the classroom as well. So a biology major, looking to go into physical therapy, and now let's talk some basketball. Let's talk about Jaleesa. And when did you start playing basketball in an organized fashion?
I began at the age of 8 or 9. My mom was first my basketball coach, and she was my basketball coach for about a year or two. And after that, I didn't pick up a basketball again until my 8th grade year in middle school. So
let's step way back then.
Okay.
Playing for your mom, how was that?
That was really fun and really interesting. I actually learned a lot that year. I learned how to shoot three-pointers when I was about 8 or 9. So I've always started off as a shooter.
And you haven't stopped since?
No, I
Still
can't.
shooting the long ball?
Yes, sir.
You didn't play until 8th grade. Why the layoff?
Academics, a little bit on the academic side. I wasn't too happy with how everything was going in my life. And, my mom made me take a step back and see, you can't play basketball until you get your grades right. And so I got my grades right, and I was able to play basketball the best year ever.
So when I say student athlete, student comes first, you learned about that from your mom a long time ago.
Yes, sir.
That's not a bad thing. You got refocused back in organized basketball in 8th grade. Let's talk about your high school days. Where did you play? Talk about your high school days.
I played at Craigmont High School in Memphis, Tennessee. Everything didn't happen the way I wanted it to, but it happened the way it was supposed to happen. So by my senior year, I was focused, I was ready, and I was just ready to become a mainstream basketball player.
Out of high school, where did you first go to college?
I first went to Alcorn State University. It's a college in Lorman, Mississippi. I went there my first year, and things happened, and after that I got a call from Coach Lovell, who was assistant coach at the time, and she called me here, she brought me on a visit. I liked the people here, so I chose to come to Pikeville.
And you've enjoyed your time here. You're on pace to graduate this summer or this fall, you tell me. So you're pretty much in line with where you should graduate, taking care of academics still. Now let's talk about the U-Pike women. It's been a tough stretch.
Yes, sir.
It's back, I think, early December since you've had a win. We're going to get one Thursday.
Of course.
With Cumberland's in town at the Expo. So we're going to get a win then. This losing streak's over at that point. But let's talk about the mood. What's the mood like of the team when you go through a losing streak like this? What's it like? What's it like in practice and in the locker room?
Well, for other people, when they have like losing streaks and everything of that nature, they tend to get down and out and get so used to it and that they just don't want to work hard. But in practice, in the locker room, we're all focused. Like we're telling each other, what can we do to get better? What can we do to make my teammates better? And so we've been doing drills in practice, working on being more aggressive with the other team, other players, just working hard and getting to the rim and finishing.
How close is this team to making a strong run in the late season?
Man, we are right there. Like we're right there. I can just touch it. I can feel it. We're right there. We just have to keep striving and keep focusing and just keep working hard each and every day like we do, and I know we can get a win.
You could shock the women's college basketball world Thursday night with the win over Cumberland. You know that, don't you?
Yes.
Let me ask you a question. As a senior, as one of the leaders of this team, and it is a young team, freshmen and sophomores getting a lot of minutes. There aren't a lot of upperclassmen there. As a senior, knowing this is your last go-around, how frustrating is it to go through one of those streaks and knowing that, yeah, they're young. It's not their fault. They're young. We're a young team. It's not their fault we're in this situation. How frustrating is it for you?
It's really frustrating, especially feeling like as if you have to lead by example. But I feel as if I do lead by example day in, day out at practice and games, and I just try to keep them motivated and keep them focused. Like, look, we're right here. I understand you guys have years to go. I have a few more months. I'm going to give you all that I have, and I want you guys to give me all that you guys have every day.
Talking with Jaleesa Jones in the Bear Spotlight, and the University of Pikeville women back in action Thursday at 6 at the Expo. The University of Cumberland's in town in the top 10 nationally. And Jaleesa, I'm going to put you on the spot here. I want a prediction on the game Thursday night.
I say we win by 3 or 5. Yeah, by 3 or 5, to be honest.
We'll take it if it's by 1.
That too. I'll take that too.
We're going to get a win over the Lady Patriots coming Thursday.
Yes, sir.
Great having you on the show tonight. Best of luck Thursday and the rest of the season, and good luck in the rest of life. Wrap up that degree.
Thank you so much.
Jaleesa Jones. She's my next physical therapist as soon as she wraps up that degree. Jaleesa Jones in the Bears Spotlight. It's University of Pikeville basketball. We'll talk about the men. They are ranked 23rd in the country, and the NAIA National Coach of the Year, Kelly Wells, when we return. The Kelly Wells Show, presented by Appalachian Wireless. Welcome back in. The Kelly Wells Show, presented by Appalachian Wireless from Jerry's Restaurant, South Mill Trail. We're here every Tuesday evening with the NAIA National Coach of the Year, Kelly Wells, and the Bears come in 12-7, 4-4, and most importantly, this week, after the rankings were released on Monday evening, 23rd in the country. We like the sound of that, and I know you do as well.
We do. It was a little brighter this morning when we woke up, and practice was a little more spirited when we had it, and it just makes you feel better about where you're heading when you get some accomplishments like that. And it's our goal to be in that top 25 every year, no matter what the circumstance is. And to get ourselves in that position now is exciting, but with that comes some responsibility. Now we know we've got a huge week coming up, and we want to take advantage of that. So having the 23rd ranking is fantastic, but we want that towards the end too. So that's what we're working towards.
It's not time to celebrate.
There's never time to celebrate. When you're that last play, this right here was time to celebrate. The rest of it, we got to continue to work on.
Last week's show, we talked about this. We talked about the importance of the UVA-Wise game. It's a road game in the conference, but it's so close and you have so many fans. You treat it somewhat as a home game. Now with Cumberland's huge night with Appalachian Wireless, the truck giveaway, Lindsey Wilson at home, they're in the top 10 nationally. We talked about how important this stretch is. You got off to a great start, nearly saw it get away from you, but got to win over UVA-Wise. Cumberland's up next. Your thoughts on the Patriots?
Well, we played them earlier in the year, so we've had a look at them. They've added 3 kids since that time. It was one of our better games that we played all year, beating them by 16 at their place, and that's a tremendously hard place for whatever reason for us to be successful at. But, you know, we've continued to grow and be a different team as well. So it's kind of a toss-up, kind of throw that game out the window, to be honest. And the guys are currently right now watching tape of their last couple games and trying to get our scout put together. I mean, Matt Daniel for them is one of the best players in our league, one of the best student athletes in the country, just a wonderful guy. And we've got to do a great job with him. He's, he's capable of getting 30, 35 a night. We did a great job. Actually, Josh Whitaker had the sole assignment down there and did a tremendous job. Xavier Neely is kind of their point guard who makes everything go. They're going to be a tough challenge for us, no question about it. They're playing well. They've dropped 4 out of their last 6, but they've played them all to the wire. I mean, it's been a 2-point game, 1-point game. They've snuck a couple out and lost a couple they probably felt like they should win. So it's a pivotal game. We're both 4-4 in the league, and they're on our heels, and we want to get off. We want to continue to move up the chart.
As you want to get back on a roll, and we've talked about this, get back on a winning streak. We'd see a win, we'd see a loss. There wasn't a lot of consistency there. You've got to get back on that consistent win streak. At this point in the season, 23rd in the country, looking to work your way up the rankings and stay atop the Mid-South Conference standings or near the top of the Mid-South Conference standings. Don't you have to look at each game as a challenging opponent? Can't take anyone lightly.
Every game is pivotal, especially on your second turn through. It's a round robin. You've got to take care of all your home games. It's inexcusable to lose home games, and then you got to steal as many road games as you possibly can. And we've been doing some good things. I mean, you look back at even our game at Lindsay was a game we snatched defeat out of the jaws of victory, and we've done that with Georgetown as well. We had an opportunity to win that game down the stretch, and you look at several games that we've dropped we should have won, and just it's finishing the deal. We're getting better. I mean, I think we had 13 goals going into the game at UVA Wise, and 11 of those we achieved tremendously. I mean, our defensive field goal percentage is doing tremendous. We're rebounding the ball great.
Right.
We wanted to get to the free throw line a ton, and we got to it 40 times, and then we shoot 20 out of 40. So that was obviously one mistake we want to correct, and getting off to a slow start. We did that at West Virginia Tech, and we did it again at UVA Wise. We're hoping the home court advantage and having our students back and a great crowd will get us jump started into another swing of playing extremely well. But those 2 areas we've got to improve on, but we're doing a lot of good things. It's just finishing the deal, just closing the gate at the end.
40 free throws at Wise, and you shoot 50% from the free throw line. That's not typical for this team. This has not been a team that's horrible at the free throw line. What do you attribute that to?
We're 75% going into that game. I mean, we just shoot, let's just give it a 70%. We shoot 70%. We win that game by 14, 15 points and feeling good about closing the game out. It's just like anything, when something goes wrong, it just multiplies itself. We had Trevor Sadie line miss three free throws that he's not ever going to miss, and then you follow that with Chris McHenry that missed 3 that's not going to miss.
Right.
We missed 7 of our last 8 free throws to close the game out, which those are pivotal points, and we got the ball in bounds exactly where we wanted it to the guys we wanted to get it to, executed our half-court offense till they fouled us, and then we just go up and clank a few free throws, and then you start thinking, well, last week we dropped one of these games by making mistakes down the end. And, 2 weeks ago we dropped one, by this same kind of thing. Then those bad thoughts enter into your mind. You can see it in their eyes. And, talking to my dad on the phone on the way back, he's like, some days you just don't know which one's coming at you. And, that night it was free throw shooting. Another night it might be our turnovers. Another night it might be our defense. They constantly throw those surprises at you, and you can't ever really see them coming. But we held on, and the key was to go over there and get a win, and that's what we did.
It's a W, and another one we're looking for Thursday. We'll talk more about that. It's a special night, Appalachian Wireless Night. Of course, Bruce Walters Ford with the F-150 giveaway. Huge crowd expected. We'll also talk about the Hall of Fame coming up Saturday, and it's a special day for coaches coming up this weekend as well. We'll talk about those things when we return on the Kelly Wells Show. When we come back, we've got a player in the Bears spotlight, and I'll allow you to make the introduction right now. Who will we see?
We've got a junior, Chris Barlow, who came to us, and Chris has just been one of those model student athletes that's on our campus. He actually started to play on our junior varsity team, and has earned his way up to the varsity. And it's hard to find kids that are accountable academically. It's hard to find kids that are accountable athletically, that are accountable socially. And one of the things I'm proudest of Chris is he's a team guy, and we use the term all in. He is certainly all in all areas of his life, and he's just a model student athlete, and I can't wait for him to get an opportunity to share that with you guys.
We'll talk with Chris Barlow when we return. The Kelly Wells Show. It's presented by Appalachian Wireless. We're talking all things U-Pike basketball when we return on Z-Rock. And welcome back in. The Kelly Wells Show, presented by Appalachian Wireless, as we come to you live from Jerry's Restaurant, South Mayo Trail, talking all things U-Pike basketball. We've talked about the University of Pikeville women, head coach Bill Watson and senior guard Jaleesa Jones on tonight's show in the Bears Spotlight. Coach Kelly Wells, he'll rejoin us momentarily as we talk about an exciting weekend at University of Pikeville. Appalachian Wireless Night on the way, and of course Saturday, a top 10 team in the country, Lindsey Wilson. Back in the Bears Spotlight now, and we'll go back to the Bears men's program, and joined now by Chris Barlow, a junior out of Herndon, Virginia. Chris, welcome to the Kelly Wells Show.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
We start our Bears Spotlights where we should. We talk about academics because that's where your first focus should be. And I know Coach reminds you guys of that, especially with grade checks and when it gets exam time. Chris Barlow, let's talk about your academic career. What's your major? What do you plan to do when you finish?
Right now, I'm a business management major. I plan on coming back to get my master's after I'm done. So right now, I could really go anywhere. Hopefully, one day I'll be a manager at a like Apple or something like that, making a lot of money. A long way off, though.
I like the sound of it. How important was the MBA program being added to the University of Pikeville?
I think it was very important. I think it gave Pikeville a new direction that we can go in. So you're not just an undergraduate program now. Now we're going to have all sorts of people coming in trying to get their masters, and it's going to just help the university grow and get more diversity in here.
And it helps students like Chris Barlow, who are business majors,
absolutely,
more opportunities by picking up that MBA while they're still there. Chris, you started with the University of Pikeville program with the JV program. Let's step back before that, and let's talk about when you started playing basketball as an organized sport.
That would be my 8th grade year, going into my freshman year in high school. I decided I really wanted to play basketball. My dad had played when I was younger and kind of motivated me to play as I started getting older. So I picked it up 8th grade and really just kept working at it.
Did you play other sports growing up?
I played soccer when I was little, but once I got to high school, basketball was my only focus.
Stayed focused on basketball. And where did you play?
I played at Herndon, Virginia, at Herndon High School.
And out of high school, where did you go then? Where did you go out of high school?
Out of high school, I went to prep school for a couple of years. I wasn't as skilled as I wanted to be coming out of high school. I didn't have college offers. So I went to prep school for a couple of years, tried to get my talent level a little bit higher, and then just let the road take me wherever it could.
It's starting to work out for you.
Yes, sir.
You landed at Pikeville when?
I landed at Pikeville last year. It was my first year here. I was recruited by Coach Ty Compton and Coach Ferguson. They came see some of our games and pretty much brought me in. Since then, been here.
And you arrive in Pikeville. How different is Pikeville, the community, from your hometown?
Pikeville is very different. I guess where I'm from, there's a lot of different communities packed into a small area, where Pikeville is pretty much just one large community.
Yeah.
So you kind of get to know the people around the town. It's very, very friendly and it's very homey. So,
Chris Barlow, our guest in the Bears Spotlight tonight. He's a junior out of Herndon, Virginia. And you come to Pikeville out of high school, then to prep school, and then you arrive at the University of Pikeville. You've had a little tougher road to get here than some of the guys on the team. But you arrive as a JV player, a junior varsity player. Not a lot of promise of a lot of playing time or being the star, and you've worked your way to the varsity team. How proud of you, are you of that?
I'm very proud of that. Basketball is a sport that I have a lot of passion for. It's one of the things that, it's kind of like a stress outlet release for me, and it's just something I can put a lot of time and commitment into. I feel like it's a very good outlet instead of doing other things. So I'm very proud of how hard I've worked, and I want to continue to get better and see where basketball can take me throughout my life.
You joined the University of Pikeville varsity program just before Christmas or at the end of the first semester. How's the transition been, joining the varsity team in practice? Let's talk about practice.
It's been different. It's been a little bit tougher. Coach Wells definitely keeps us on our toes, so it's a little more structured than the JV team is, but it's an enjoyment for me. I love it.
Moving to the varsity program, what has that done for your game personally in just a little over a month?
It's helped me slow the game down in my head. It's helped me kind of see my decisions before I make them a little bit easier. Just kind of makes the game come to you a little bit easier. Just playing against that talent every day. Then, when you do go and play JV games or when you play pickup, you see the game in a different light.
High school, prep school, the JV, now on the varsity as a junior. Senior year, you're looking for a starting spot?
I'm just going to continue to look to grow. Whatever happens, happens. You know, I just want to help the program any way I can. So whether that's being a practice player, trying to make everybody else better, or whether that's starting, I just want to be part of a successful program.
Coach Wells talks about the competitive nature of practices and how competitive this team is because there's so much talent there, and every day is a true battle for position. How true is that statement? Have you seen those battles that take place in practice?
Oh, yes, that's very true. The talent, you could pretty much switch people in and out, and the talent level, if there was any drop-off at all, would be very little. We are a very talented team. They do a great job of recruiting and getting high-level players in here, and that's part of the reason I love practice so much, because you're playing against the best, and you know it.
That's what it's all about, his story. Chris Barlow, he's a junior out of Herndon, Virginia, out of high school to prep school to the JV, and now a part of the varsity team, and you only accomplish that by hard work. Chris Barlow, thanks for being on the Kelly Wells Show, and continue to work hard, and we'll look for that next step. Put some pressure on these guys that are in the starting lineup.
I'll try to. Thank you for inviting me.
I guarantee you will. You can tell this guy's got his head on straight, and he's gotten where he is, but hard work. That's what U-Pike basketball is all about. Coach Kelly Wells, we'll talk more U-Pike basketball. It's presented by Appalachian Wireless. When we return, the National Coach of the Year rejoins us. It's presented by Appalachian Wireless, live from Jerry's Restaurant. Welcome back in. The Kelly Wells Show, coming to you live from Jerry's Restaurant, South Mayo Trail. We talk all things U-Pike basketball, and Great Bear Spotlight tonight. Chris Barlow, junior from Herndon, who's earned his way to the varsity team, coming here as a JV player, and I can tell why you're proud of this guy and think highly of him.
Yeah, it's refreshing to be around Chris. I don't know any other word to say that. He's just one of those guys who doesn't miss class, he doesn't miss a workout, and he truly works harder than anybody else.
Yeah.
I mean, it's no surprise that he's earned his way into a varsity because he works harder than anybody else. He works in the summertime, he works in his off time, and very proud of him. And he's a model example for all of our student athletes because, you know, he came in at the entry-level spot in the junior varsity and worked his way up, and will only continue to get better. And he's a great teammate, he's a great players coach, and just can't be prouder than I am of him.
And wants his MBA and to take over and run Apple.
Well,
So he's got his future lined out.
he does, and he's got lofty goals, and there's really nothing that Chris won't be able to do. He's going to be that prepared, and I would never discourage him from reaching his goals and trying to reach out and do as best he can because he's a sharp guy.
He certainly seems that way, and maybe when he is running one of those major corporations, he'll remember us little guys.
Maybe we can tag along, ride his coattails all the way through.
There you go. Coach Kelly Wells, he's the National Coach of the Year, and a lot of folks ride his coattails very often. Coach, your team back in the national rankings, 23rd in the country. We've talked about that. Cumberland's coming up Thursday night. It's a huge game, as they all are at this point in the conference, but it's a special night as well. Appalachian Wireless Night, and we know what that means. Big things going on, along with Bruce Walters Ford, the University of Pikeville, and East Kentucky Broadcasting, all tag teaming an F-150 to be given away, along with dozens of other prizes, T-shirts to the first 3,000 or so in the door. We want a record crowd. What's Appalachian Wireless Night and the giveaways from Bruce Walters Ford and Walters Toyota in years past? What have those things meant to this program?
It's really been just a huge part in more than just what you see, the bringing the crowd to the game, because that's great. Don't get me wrong, that's awesome. But the friendships that I've developed with Bruce and with Danny, and just to be able to be associated with those kind of men is a true blessing to me. But also the fact that the resources that they give us an opportunity to give back to guys like Chris Barlow, and to have the nicest facilities in the country at our level is off the charts. I mean, to be able to have involvement with the leading cell phone service in the area is great. You know, I travel to Charleston, I travel to different places, and then there's my ugly mug out there on commercials. So it's really, for our program, has been pivotal. I mean, it's really put us in a position where we we can sustain being a top 25 team. And to recruit guys at a high level, they need to see a high-level program. And when you walk through the doors at the University of Pikeville, as far as basketball is concerned, it's a high level, and we want to keep it that way. And because of folks like that and folks like yourself and East Kentucky Broadcasting, we have an opportunity to do that.
Sure. Thursday night, Cumberland's at the Expo Center. The women tip at 6, the men at 8, and it is Appalachian Wireless Night. 2 people in attendance will become finalists for the F-150. That's one reason to come. Another reason to come, you'll see some top-notch basketball with one of the top-ranked teams in the country. And the women as well at 6, looking to knock off Cumberland's, who come in ranked in the top 10. Saturday, also a special day. It's Hall of Fame Day at the university. Some old-timers come back. Some special teams come back. Do you try to allow your players to take a look at the Hall of Fame, take them back in history and see what the program has meant over the decades?
Well, I've got a theory, maybe it's called a motto, that tradition never graduates. And, you know, tradition doesn't start with me. I can assure you of that. Our tradition started years ago, and we want to honor that. We want to build on that. And it's very important that Trevor Setti knows about the folks before him, the Todd Mays, the Jody Thompsons, and so on and so forth,
Sure.
because that's a responsibility that we all carry along, and we want it to be good forever. And you need to honor your past in order to do that. And so it is very important for us to see the successful people here, and hopefully some of our guys will fit that mold someday, and there'll be other coaches and other players to get back to using them as models. And we don't want to let people down. We want to do our job. I've already had to promise Danny Vanus we'd win on Thursday, and we'll do our best to do that. And the same thing goes for Saturday. We want to make sure to honor our Hall of Fame folks and all of our alums in general, because it's that important to us.
And we need a win. Of course, Hall of Fame ceremonies at 10:30 on Saturday morning, and of course the women's game at 2, the men at 4 p.m., and the Hall of Fame inductees in the
and we don't want to
class this
miss
year.
on Thursday. The women's game will tip at 5:45, and the men will be at 8. Just a small little change.
Little earlier start for the women because of some of the festivities, I guess, that take place between games. So we'll mention that again. Saturday's matchups 2 and 4, Lindsey Wilson, important games, but it's also, besides Hall of Fame Day, it's a special time for coaches and a tie to the American Cancer Society.
Yeah, this whole weekend nationwide, when you watch an ESPN game, when you watch a Mid-South Conference game, this is considered, you know, we call it suits and sneakers. The women have one that they do pink outs, and the men are doing suits and sneakers, and it's something just to get more awareness about cancer, because it affects all of us. It affects my family personally, and we have to deal with that and go through it. And it's important for us to get the word out about this is an epidemic. I mean, we have to do something in regards to the cancer treatments, and we're blessed here to have medical facilities and the medical folks that we have, and it's good to get awareness out. And this is just the way coaches use to kind of people look and say, why is that coach wearing white tennis shoes? And then they figure out why we are, and then it becomes a message they talk about in their households, they talk about it at their workplace, and we want to make sure we continue that. That's part of giving back, and I don't want to just be a basketball coach. I'm not interested in just doing that. I want to be more, and I want to try to make a difference, and that's just a small way we try to make a difference.
Coach Kelly Wells, Thursday night, the women at 5:45, the guys at 8, Appalachian Wireless Night. We need a big crowd there.
No question.
And we look forward to a big crowd there. Let's set another record, and let's continue the win streak. Let's get another win and roll on to the Mid-South Conference Tournament. Let's string together 10 or so.
I agree with you 100%. And, you know, Thursday we need to start making it a tradition that we empty our dorms out.
Yeah.
Thursdays, Saturdays, empty the dorms out. Everybody come have some U-Pike fun, and we'll start it in basketball season. We'll carry it to softball and baseball, and we'll carry it next year into football and every sport we have. And on game nights, let's empty those dorms.
Sure.
You know, let's get out of those walls and come have some U-Pike fun. Enjoy, meet some new people. I met my wife at college at ball games, so let's. You know, maybe you'll have that great fortune as I did, and you never know who you'll meet, and come on out and have fun with us.
Even if you don't get a wife Thursday night, you could get an F-150.
I'm not going to say even better, but it would be a nice consolation prize, no doubt.
And it would be a consolation prize. I know she's listening. Coach Kelly Wells, best of luck Thursday and Saturday. We'll be there for both of those. And truly, let's string together a long win streak.
I agree with you. Thank you.
Coach Kelly Wells, it is the Kelly Wells Show, presented by Appalachian Wireless. We've been coming to you live from Jerry's Restaurant. We're here every Tuesday evening. You're invited to join us next Tuesday, and we'll see you Thursday night at the Expo for Appalachian Wireless Night.